Yes.
Lenius,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Dallenbach,
Yes.
Grover,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Won't go, Mike.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Charger?
Okay, before we approve the agenda, I need to make a small change to it. We later have on the agenda for the trucks for Parks and Rec, and Bob needs to be going to a meeting that he's speaking at, and so we want to move that up to first thing on the agenda before public comment. So I need a motion to approve the agenda with an adjustment of moving that item up.
Make the motion.
Motion by Grover, second by Dallenbach. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Thank you.
Motion to approve the agenda as amended.
We didn't just do that?
I think we have to do it again, don't we, Carter?
Yes.
Okay, now
I'll
I
make
need
a
a
motion
motion
for
to approve the agenda as amended.
I'll make a
Motion by
motion.
Dallenbach, second by Brown. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion is carried. So, on the agenda, that item is originally was under,
Under seven, number 7A.
That'd be Bob.
under new business. Okay. If you look on your agenda for new business, A for Parks Department vehicle lease.
I don't know if Al had wrote something up on that or not. What we were looking at doing, we had budgeted $15,000 this year for one new vehicle. We looked at several options. We're several vehicles short of a full department. 3 full-time employees share one vehicle in the summer. That'd be myself, Jared, who's the complex manager, and Angie Kyler, who will be doing a lot more pool stuff this year. So looking at ways that we could add 2, and we looked at maybe the possibility of 2 used ones this year. In my 15 years here with the Park and Rec, we've gotten 1 new vehicle. Our last new vehicle was purchased in 2006. So we had when I went to Pinnacle Ford initially to get a quote on a new vehicle or to look at used vehicles, he felt that he could be pretty, get us to a point where we could maybe get 2 new vehicles, add some to our fleet, and then what we looked at was doing a 3-year lease at $15,000, around $15,000 per year, and I don't know the exact figure because I have not seen that. I know that there were 3 other companies that looked at bidding that, Dunlap Motors, and then someone, I think maybe McGrath, maybe. So what we're looking at doing is getting 2 new vehicles for the Parks and Rec Department. Currently, I mean, I can go through our fleet. We have a 1986 S10 bought originally at Vandenberg Chevrolet, which is now the Falcon Civic Center. We have 2 1989s. One's a flatbed, one's a Ford truck. We use these all daily. We have a 90. We have a 96 S10. All of them are nearing 100,000 miles. So even to add 2 new vehicles to our fleet, we don't get rid of any vehicles. So that doesn't get rid of the 86 or the 96 or the 89s. We have to keep all of those. So we're just a little bit far behind right now. Street departments and some of them haven't added a whole lot of new vehicles, which means we haven't gotten any of the hand-me-downs. So I think it's probably well within our time range to maybe add a few vehicles that don't come with a lot of miles. We do have a 2007 that we bought used. Our last 2 vehicles have been used. We have a 2010 that we bought used. Both of them are at or near 100,000 now. So we're just not looking right now to add a bunch of used vehicles. We'd like to add a couple new ones that'll last us hopefully the next 40 years. So, which is about how long we hold some of them. So.
You haven't seen the 2 bids? To
What's
make
that?
any?
I have not seen the bids. I know approximately what they are. So.
According to Al's notes, the Pinnacon's bid was lower than Dunlap's.
Yes, I
But
did know that.
McGrath in Cedar Rapids was lower than the other 2, but only by $475. So the thought was, I think by the committee was, it's better to keep the business in town.
Yeah.
So
$425 was 25.
$25?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Does anybody have any questions, discussion?
We have the 15,000 budgeted this year. We will have to amend our 10-year capital improvement plan to include the 15,000 over the next 2 years. So we have this year's payment starting July 1
Okay.
And
Very
it says
good.
you can buy them for $1,
at the end, which we certainly would. I mean,
and I'm sure you wouldn't put that many miles.
no, and we don't put a lot of miles. I mean, that's kind of the reason we can, that 1986 S10 has about 70,000 miles, original miles. So, we don't put a lot, we just have a lot of vehicles in use during those summer months, so.
Committee agrees with it?
Yeah.
I agree with it.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we
Yeah.
accept Pelican bid.
I don't care.
I'd
That's
second
It's
it.
just money. No, it's the same money, it's just 15, it's
No,
all
it's
the
just
same.
about time
It's
that
just
Parks and Rec got some
in
decent
the
vehicles.
budget. It's just money.
We got it.
It's the
Okay,
same
so-
money.
I have a motion from Brown and a second from.
So your
Hill.
motion's to approve the lease agreement for the Pelican
Ford, yes.
Ford for the park department vehicle. Okay. And you second?
Seconded.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to approve the Pelican bid. No further discussion. Do we want a roll call? Or
Yep.
does it? Okay, we need a roll call.
Hill,
Yes.
Dallenbach,
Yes.
Grover,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Holland,
Yes.
Lenius,
Yes.
Vaughn.
Yes.
Okay, motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for making the adjustment.
Have fun
too.
for at your next meeting. Hopefully you're prepared.
Thanks, Bob.
Okay. Next in my agenda is public comment. Should read this up here, I guess I do that each time. This is a time set aside for visitors and public comments only on topics of city business other than those listed on tonight's agenda. So what you're wanting is not on the agenda itself? Okay.
I just had a couple questions.
Okay. Please understand the council cannot take any action on your comments at this meeting due to requirements in open meetings law, but may do so at a future meeting. Each speaker will be allowed a maximum of 5 minutes to state their comments, and we thank you for your cooperation. So since you're the only one on there, if you want to introduce yourself and your address, we're good to go.
Deborah Hannah, 214 Second Avenue Northeast.
Thank you.
First question is, what's the intention to do with the property that was bought over here, Moore's property that the house was tore down?
I don't know that anything has been finalized at this point. It's in discussion with some of the committees and stuff, what we'll be doing with it, but there's not anything definite at this point.
And second question was, but I see he's here now, I was gonna ask if we couldn't have at least once a month at a council meeting for Mr. Lau to tell us what's been done with his job in town, because there's a lot of things that need to be done, and you go around town and, maybe there's things being done, but I don't see a lot, and I see a lot that needs to be done, so I just think it'd be nice if the city people could hear a report on that once a month.
Well, he does come the first meeting of each month to make a
Mhm.
report for what he
Yeah.
does for the ordinance committee.
I must
Yeah.
have missed that. 'Cause I
Yeah.
haven't heard it. All right, thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Next on my agenda is a motion to accept and approve the consent agenda that approves the following: the minutes of the April 25th, 2016 regular meeting and the April 25th, 2016 special council meeting. The Music Station Class E liquor license, April 29th, 2016 through April 28th, 2017. East Iowa Storm Amateur Football Club Special Class C liquor license, which is beer and wine, May 1st, 2016 through October 31st, 2016. Wellmark Revised Plan Year Change Offer, and a renewal of the Cousins lease agreement. I need a motion and a second. Motion by Dallenbach, second by Grover. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion is carried. Thank you. Next on the agenda is a motion to approve the claims for payment.
So moved.
Motion by Holland, seconded by Brown. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion is carried. Petition from the public, Officer Lau, Independence Police Department. Come make a report.
I'll just kind of give you guys an update in reference to Ms. Hannah there. I always encourage anybody in their neighborhood, and if you have any questions, concerns, or something sticks out at you, I mean, feel free to give me a call anytime. I can stop and talk to you.
When I did talk to you, you didn't get back to me to let you guys
so far I've been pretty busy with, grass height, grass being mowed into the street, not nearly as much as we did last season, but it's still pretty busy with the amount of rain we've had and the warmer weather, but that's coming along nicely with people conforming to what we want. I've dealt with probably 20 different properties on junk so far, and I'm guessing between now and our city amnesty date, which is coming up on June 11th, it's gonna kind of be kicked into high gear, so that way people who do have junk on their property that are facing consequences has an outlet, for us to try to work together to get that property cleaned up at little to minimal cost to them. So hopefully I can just continue to educate people when I talk to them, and we can get things cleaned up. And that's pretty much what we've got.
What's the fine for having grass in the streets?
Well, initially, I give everybody at least one warning prior, because you never know, if somebody's boy's out mowing for the first time and he didn't read it in the paper, or his parents didn't tell him how it was done. I make a personal contact with that house to speak with the family about what we want before anybody would ever be cited. It would be a person who would constantly be violating, that city ordinance.
Okay.
It's a municipal infraction, so, I think the first fine amount, it would actually be set by the judge. I mean, it could be a fine up to $750 for the first offense,
Oh.
but that's just a maximum fine amount. So, typically, they could be around $60 for a fine amount, depending on what the judge, wants to impose on that day in court, if it came to that.
Okay.
But normally, we work together with the city attorney, and we find a way to get that property cleaned up without actually having to follow through with fining people, so.
Because the ordinance actually says that grass or nothing like that can be along the curb or in the street, right?
Correct, grass, leaves, that type of stuff. You can't purposely blow your grass or rake your leaves out into the street.
Okay.
And that's the type of violations that, we're getting calls on, or I'm stopping to talk to you. It's not because you mowed and you got a couple blades of grass out in the street here and there. It's when you drive by and you see a 2 or 3 foot section of nothing but grass out in front, that's what's clogging up the storm sewers. So that's the ones that we're talking to.
Okay.
I thought it was interesting, Waverly was having the same problem, and they recommended that citizens make their first 2 rounds blowing inward, and that helps reduce it.
It
So,
does,
that-
and I encourage people, even if you do get some out in the street, just go back, try to blow that grass back up out of the street is the best you can.
And a lot of people
We're
do
here to
that.
work together, so.
Yeah.
I do have another question. Had a couple people, a year or 2 ago, we passed an ordinance about noise from vehicles, and it was kind of geared toward parking along Main Street or someplace and just turning up your stereo or whatever in your car. But these individuals had complained about the noise of cars driving through their neighborhood. Now, is that something the police department can deal with if their cars are moving? Maybe it's city attorney.
No.
You gotta catch them.
Most certainly, I mean, if you have somebody that's complaining to you about it, just encourage them to call us, and at the time that it's happening, because if it's at the time that's happening, if they can describe that vehicle that just went through their neighborhood, that's gonna make it a lot easier for our officers to locate it and stop it. Not to mention the city ordinance against that particular thing, which I think it's got a radius of 25 feet or something that it lists. But the state of Iowa also has a code on disorderly conduct on noise. So if that person is doing something like that and it's disturbing the peace in the neighborhood, then it would be up to that property owner or whoever to fill out a written statement saying that they'd like to pursue something. But normally we would make contact with that person and let them know that they're in violation, and if it continues, somebody's gonna wanna fill out a statement, then they're gonna end up being cited for that.
So they can be even if they're moving, not
Yes.
just parked.
Yes, yep.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Appreciate that. Next on my agenda is the sanity room request for beer gardeners. Anybody here from the sanity room? Is anybody out there? Okay. On your board docs does show the drawing as to where they're talking about doing this for.
I did provide the drawing to both Chief Miller and building inspector Cook, and they had no objections.
Okay. So I need a motion to approve the request of the sanity room for a beer garden on May 21st, 2016.
So moved.
Motion by Gill, second by Vaughn. Any other questions, discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion is carried. Thank you. Next section is 2016 street reconstruction project. First is consider the bids for 2016 reconstruction project. Leland, do you need to come up on this one, or? We have several here in a row that we'll be doing.
All right, we had 4 bids, Horsfield, Chick-fil-A, Eastern Iowa Excavating, and Veed Construction. Horsfield's the apparent low bid at $1,025,447.
Okay.
And based on conversations with the city attorney, we recommend awarding low bid to Horsfield in the amount of $1,025,447.
Okay. So
And I would just add, the issue that came up was, there was some, after the bids were spec'd, it was discovered that there was perhaps a better way to, with this 15-inch pipe versus 12-inch pipe.
There was error in quantities identified during the bidding process. It occurred at a point where we didn't want to issue an addendum. In case somebody didn't get it in time, they weren't able to bid. And so there's been some discussion on how that would be addressed, but it was bid as it went out.
Right, and the reason for my opinion was that given the fact that the Horsfield bid was responsive to what we spec'd, they would be the lowest responsible bidder. There was an issue about whether the bid was unbalanced because their bid spec for that particular line item on the contract was 5 times higher than one of the bids, and I think 3 times higher than another bid. But it's my understanding that that particular issue could we could resolve it just by holding them to the original bid.
Correct.
Or if there's a change order later, we could address it with a negotiated price term that would be maybe acceptable. But
Okay.
Given the fact it didn't sound like it materially changed the scope of the project, and that our bid spec was followed by Horsfield, it's my opinion that we need to follow the code, which awards it to the lowest responsible bidder. And the other reason for my opinion was there was an issue about whether there was an unbalanced bid, and I did the research, and I did not conclude that Horsfield gave us an unbalanced bid due to that one specific spec. So that was the rationale for my opinion when I told that to our engineer. And that's why my opinion is somewhat different than the original recommendation made by Veedstra, Kim, and Kim in their May 6th letter.
Okay, my first motion is just to accept the 4 bids, right? Is that what I'm understanding? To consider bids of the 2016 street reconstruction project is
It's just to consider them.
consider those. I need a motion and a
So
second.
moved.
Motion by Holland, second by Dallenbach, and we need a roll call.
Lenius,
Yes.
Vaughn,
No.
Hill,
Yes.
Dallenbach,
Yes.
Grover,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Holland.
Yes.
Thank you, motion carried. Next on my agenda is a motion to approve a resolution awarding the contract then to, what's the name of the one that we're getting?
Horsfield.
Horsfield, okay.
Mayor,
Mayor,
Yes, I'm sorry.
we're probably talking about the same. There were some questions that came up over one of the streets within the project, and I don't
Right.
know whether this would be the appropriate time to talk about it before it's awarded.
Well, I have a comment, or I have a question before we go ahead too, so you want me to ask mine first?
Sure.
I know that we voted 4-3 last time to accept this, and I accept that. But of all the things that we've done in the 2.5 years that I've been on the council, I've had more comments on this one. And I would like to, even though it may throw a wrench into things and we may have to do some other things, I guess I'd like to ask the council again, if anyone has a reason or would like to rethink the street north of the tracks. I still think it's a bad one. It's a waste of money. We have other streets that are worse. If the other four don't, have no reason to change their minds, I understand and I accept that. So I would ask the other four if there
I do have
is
some
any
additional
change in thought.
information to provide, things that came up during the design process that we really weren't aware of ahead of time. I had a meeting with the mayor, and on that 11th Street, there's one homeowner surrounded by businesses, Barbara Estes, and she has a drainage problem where she's in the low spot and all the water from the business come around. So she was very concerned about what was going to be occurring. The construction of the new road will actually lower the profile of the road slightly so that her driveway from the right-of-way out will drain towards the street. And then we're also putting in the intakes and the storm sewer. So it should capture a lot of the water that's coming off the businesses and keep it off of her property. It's my understanding, is it Bachman that owns right around them, actually put in Higginbottom in her backyard and then ran subdrain to the south to the ditch, which I observed. And then one of the other things that came up was there's another project the city's doing with a sidewalk along 5th, which is going to cross the railroad tracks. And when you run across the railroad tracks and you head north, where 11th ties in, it's currently not ADA compliant. So in order to have a compliant crossing, you'd have to reconstruct where the two connect. With this project, it's going to do that. There's also a sight distance problem that came up during the discussions where traffic heading eastbound, it's a very sharp rise to 5th. And so it's difficult to see the direction until you get right up on the road. And then there's a potential of kind of nosing out in the road. In the winter, we were told that if they have to stop on the slope, that at times it's really hard for them to get going and get up onto 5th. With this design, that end of 11th will be coming down to 5%, which is ADA compliant. So going back to the sidewalk project, once it crosses to the north, the next problem with that project is, do you put it along 5th, which is a rural section road, where you're gonna have to widen the shoulder and put the sidewalk right along fairly busy, highway there, or this would allow you the opportunity to take the sidewalk west down 11th to the bottom of the hill and then kind of swing around the backside of the depot area and then come back up. So those are things that came up during design that weren't discussed early on. So if that I don't know, affects the decision or
Well, also, in changing a bid package, it's already been processed by the various people who want to participate, that sort of thing.
I believe
Wise,
at this
not
time
wise.
you'd have to reject all bids and not
Right.
award the contract, and then change it and then rebid the items that you just wanted.
Right.
So you're gonna pull one street out and just do 2 streets, then you have to reject everything and rebid those 2, I believe would be.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be a material change.
Okay, then I need a motion to approve a resolution awarding the contract for the 2016 street reconstruction project to
Horsfield.
Okay, thank you.
Or reject it.
I don't have that name right smack here in front of me.
I keep wanting to
No.
call them horseshoe if it makes you feel any better.
Have you worked with Horsfield Construction before?
Yes, I've worked with all 4 bidders, and I had a positive experience with all 4 bidders.
Thank you.
Do I hear a motion? Motion by Dallenbach, second by Grover. Roll call.
Vaughn,
No.
Hill,
Yes.
Dallenbach,
Yes.
Grover,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Holland,
Yes.
Lenius.
No.
Okay, motion is carried. Thank you. Next, I need a motion. We need to go into a public hearing on proposed resolution and necessity for the 2016 street reconstruction project. One of the things I do need to explain when we get into the public hearing that was pointed out to me after our last council meeting is when we're in public hearing, that is a time for the public to talk, but not necessarily for the council members. When we get out of the public hearing, that's when the council members make their consideration or their comments that they want to make, but rather than having an interaction with the public that come up to comment on this, it's not once we get into the hearing. So I need a motion to receive and file proof of publication of a notice of the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by Holland,
Second.
seconded by Dallenbach. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. I now need a motion to hold the public hearing.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Grover,
Second.
second by Dallenbach. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. We are now in public hearing. If there's anyone that wants to speak about this project. We didn't get anything in writing from
I did not
anybody?
receive
Okay. Yes. If there's somebody who wants to speak, just come forward, give us your name and address. We'll go from there.
Mike Schrader with Chick Fry Excavating.
Okay?
You only mentioned one item that was, the quantity was wrong. I believe the quantity on the pavement removal was wrong also.
Our engineer could address that as well, but it's not wrong in that the bid was sent out, it's so that everyone responded to the same bid. There's a potential it could be changed later, but the bid was,
But you're putting in you're tearing out so many yards of concrete or pavement, and you're gonna put the same amount back in. And you only had 944 square yards of removal, and I think there was like 6,000 square yards of replacement. And you get $32 a square yard on that, so you might wanna think about that.
well, we could have our engineer talk about it, but the way I understood it is the bid spec was properly bid by that bidder.
But that number's pretty high though.
But the total, and maybe you can correct me if I'm
I
wrong,
understand what
the
you're
total's
saying.
still lower than,
I can't speak for Horsfield, but I'm just about bet everybody knew that number was gonna go up.
it doesn't have to go up.
It's gonna cost a little bit of money.
Yeah.
We're used to it.
Yes, come forward. Give us your name.
My name is David Curtis. I'm an attorney with O'Connor and Thomas, and I want to supplement some of the things that Mike Schrader said. I'm the attorney for Chick-fil-A Excavating Company, and I also looked at the unbalanced bid analysis that the city attorney did, and I want to respectfully disagree. The bid as submitted was unbalanced, and it was material. And under Iowa law, that gives this council discretion to either reject all of the bids or to reject the unbalanced bid. And what an unbalanced bid is, where a contractor perceives that a quantity listed in the bid sheet is unreasonably low. They anticipate more quantity, more pavement demolition, in this case that's line item bid 27, or line item 27, or more reinforced concrete pipe, which is line 24. So the contractor perceives or can perceive that because the bid sheet lists the quantities so low, they put a high unit price, which in this case, Horsfield did. It was 5 times, for the reinforced concrete pipe, 12-inch reinforced concrete pipe, it was 5 times greater than Chick-fil-A's bid. And that's material because if you run out the additional 201 linear feet of reinforced concrete pipe as required by line item 24 and included in the drawings at M.04, both the profile and the plan sheet. That's an over $40,000 difference in the bid price. That's very material. And Iowa law says you award the bid to the lowest responsible bidder. That's a $40,000 swing. The bids turned out to be around $25,000 apart between Horsefield and Chick-Fry. That puts, before you even get to the demo of the pavement on line 27, that puts Chick-Fry Excavating $15,000 lower than the Horsefield bid. And why do we say it's a material unbalanced bid? Because if you take the reinforced concrete pipe alone, page M.04, it has listed 212 linear feet in the plan and profile in the specifications and drawings that were sent out to the contractors. So the contractors read the drawings, they compared the estimated quantity in line 24 that said 11 linear feet, and they knew then and there that that was a wrong quantity. The message that went to the plan holders was not, oh, just, bid the 11 square feet or 11 linear feet of the pipe. It was, okay, those quantities are going to increase. You bid the unit price that you can get the work done for, and that's what we'll look at. And Iowa law says where you have a material unbalanced bid, such as Horsefield's bidding $250 per linear feet versus Chick-Fry's $53 per linear feet, you do have the discretion and the right to reject the Horsefield bid, the lowest apparent bid, and go and vote in favor of the lowest responsive bid. Where the lowest apparent bid is materially unbalanced, that bid under Iowa law and according to Bruner and O'Connor is not responsive to what you guys want as a city. You're going to be saving $40,000 on that line item alone, assuming that M.04 is correct and there's 212 linear feet of 12-inch pipe. Just run the $53 per linear foot versus the $250 per linear foot, and that's a $40,000 savings on that line item alone. Then you get to the line item 27, which is the demo of the pavement. The bid sheet said there was 944 square yards of demo work. Well, the contractors looked at that. Horsefield looked at that as well and determined from line item 8 and 9, there was actually closer to 6,300 square yards of demo work, or of new pavement. So again, you look at the unit prices bid on that line item, and they bid over 2.5 times more on a unit price basis than Chick-Fry, 2 times more than Eastern Iowa, and over 4 times more than Veith. These are very materially unbalanced bids, which makes Horsefield's bid unresponsive and creates a duty on behalf of us all to look at what will ultimately result in the lowest responsible bid. I respectfully submit that's Chick-Fry's bid. They bid the legitimate, reasonable unit prices that are required by this work. Horsefield's bid, perceiving that there would be more quantities on the come, increase their unit price bid, which ultimately, and unfortunately, if you go with Horsefield's bid tonight, will result in greater cost. I listened to some of the rationale for how the city could avert this, and one of the ideas was to go back and renegotiate potentially the unit prices. I assume you're talking about 24, but I assume you'd also talk about 27 for that. There are 2 big problems with that. The first problem is there's nothing in the contract or the general bid specifications for this particular project that requires a contractor awarded the bid to go back and renegotiate those unit prices. If you look at litigation history and claims that contractors make, Horsefield could have a claim that they get that $250 per linear foot for the 12-inch pipe. Again, nothing in the general specification says that there's some type of remixing of the unit price. That's the first problem. The second problem is it completely turns Iowa Code 26 on its head. Iowa Code 26 says municipal bids that reach a certain threshold of $100,000 get submitted according to a certain process. And that process goes off the rail when one contractor that has an apparently low bid, but not the lowest responsible bid, is allowed to come back after the fact and negotiate its preferred price with the city. So the municipal bidding law is turned on its head. The spirit is violated, and it's not truly competitive bidding at that point, because you're only going to be negotiating with one party at that point. You haven't had the benefit of 4 bids. So Iowa law would suggest that you can either reject all of the bids and start over, but it would also give you the discretion, which we're asking on behalf of Chick-fil-A Excavating for you to do tonight, to reject the Horsfield bid as materially unbalanced and go with the lowest responsible bid. Again, under Iowa law, a materially unbalanced bid is not a responsive bid. And the contractors knew that the quantities were here in the plan, because they're right here in the plans. So when the bid sheet said 11 lineal feet, they knew there was at least 212 lineal feet of this pipe. That's why the unit prices of the Horsfield bid went up. That's unbalanced bidding. Thank you for listening to me tonight.
Did we not just approve?
Does anyone
Can
have
I
any
ask a
questions?
question? I know we're not supposed to talk, but can I ask a question of
Sure.
him? I mean, we might as well.
Yes, yes.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, you can probably tell I'd reject all 4 and start over again, but that's beside the point. But I have some questions. You know, you guys, and I don't blame you, you're pointing out 2 or 3 things on all of this that are kind of out of whack.
2 line items, correct?
Yeah, but if you go down through the bid, and I'm not saying, I think I kind of hear what you're saying on that mistake, but you go down through the bid, all the extended stuff, and you're way lower on some things, but you guys aren't talking about that.
Look at your agenda.
I mean, I know that whenever you have a big project like this, and I did this for a lot of years, not streets, but you know, you're gonna be high on some things, low on some things.
Sure.
Really, it comes down to where you are at the end. But there's some of these things that you guys are materially higher than they are on you kind of seem to be picking out a couple that, you know, stand out, that there's a difference in that.
Well, and that's.
You know what I mean?
I hear you, and that's a good comment, and if I may respond. The 2 line items that we respond to, or that we're talking about tonight, result in tens and tens of thousands of dollars of contract changes. The contract amount that you'll end up paying goes up dramatically and materially. We didn't address any of the price wangles, either up or down, that weren't going to have a material effect on the decision you have to make tonight. That is, who is the actual lowest responsible bidder. These 2 line items, line item 24 and line item 27, were picked out because the estimated quantities were so low, so unreasonably low in the bid sheet, and the contractors knew it in the plans and specifications, that discrepancy in the quantities create the environment that creates a potentially unbalanced bid. And when you look at, again, I encourage all of you to look at this, M.04, it says there's 212 linear feet of 12-inch reinforced concrete pipe. 212 linear feet. Now, as a contractor looking at that, when you see 11 in the bid sheet, and you bid 5 times more than other contractors, that's textbook material unbalanced bidding. And with all due respect to the city attorney, if the result here tonight is you go back and you negotiate with one of the 4 bidders only, even though there's nothing in the general specifications or Iowa law that authorize that. But if you go back with 1 bidder and negotiate that unit price, I think you violated Iowa Code Section 26 and the municipal sealed bidding process. And we submit that's not fair.
I mean, I don't obviously understand all the legal part of that, but I guess, you know, there's some things where you're $20,000-$30,000 less. Can we rely on the fact that you guys haven't missed something when if we change it, you know, that you haven't missed something and you come back and say, oops? I mean, these two, they're very complicated, and
Sure.
It looks to me like you've picked a couple of them that have that point. But if I was if I was responsible for understanding each point, I'd really wonder why you can be over, or I mean, under by 20, 30. You know what I'm saying?
I know, I hear you, and if I may.
Okay.
The reason we're talking about line item 24 and line item 27 is because those are the only estimated quantities that were indicated to be unreasonably low in the bid sheet. None of the other items you've talked about, and I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about, but if we looked at those and the estimated quantities was a fraction of what the actual quantities were going to be, then I think it would be appropriate to do a material unbalanced bid analysis under Iowa law. But the only two that have been pointed out as being
big differences.
unreasonably low are 24 and 27.
Okay, my question is, we're in public hearing right now for resolution of necessity, and we already at the last resolution passed and approved the lowest bid. Is that not when we should have had this discussion before that bid was open?
I would ask that you reconsider it. No one was given a chance to give any public input before the motion was brought to the
Well,
floor.
if you all you had to do is give us a signal that you wanted to talk on that, so, but it seems almost to do it at this point, like after the fact.
Well, I think you have,
So.
this council does have the discretion to consider the balance bid, with all due respect to the city attorney's opinion. And if you'd like more legal authority on any of these points, I'd be happy to submit them in writing.
Is there anybody here tonight from Horsefield Construction? Okay.
Any more questions?
Since this is for purpose of necessity, do we even need this, have this discussion at this point?
Well, I'd go ahead and have a discussion, might as well air it out. So,
Okay.
if you want to have someone else come up and talk.
Thanks.
Okay, let's have
Thank you.
somebody from the other contractor come forward. Would you give us your name and?
My name is Scott Borgerding with Horsefield Construction. I guess just to hit a couple points. I know the one council member, Mr. Hill, asked if we have done business with the City of Independence before. In 2010, we did a parallel taxiway project out at the airport. I think that's city-owned, unless it's privately owned, which other works. But,
No.
So I've done work. I've only worked with Horsefield for 8 years, but in the time that I worked, that's the last job we did city, and that job went very well. I guess on the issue or the topic tonight, I guess, there was two items that there was a discrepancy in quantities on. They were aware of prior to bid time, as everybody's heard so far. Were made aware of them. They were discussed. We were told to bid the project as is, and they could be addressed after the fact, basically, which is what everybody was under the understanding. I know it was previously mentioned that there was that it's unfair, and I'm not a very legal person, I guess. I can't cite different legal terms, I guess. But as far as the discussion of how it's unfair or unjust, I guess, to negotiate with one bidder after the fact. The job is bid, I believe, per DOT spec. In DOT spec, it states right in there. There's a section in there. I don't have it with me, but I could look it up and let whoever know. But it states right in there if there's a drastic change in quantity. I believe it's if it's a major item of work over 25%. That's when basically there's a right for adjustment quantity. So we are obligated to. We're contractually obligated with the city to adjust our price on something like that. So there is nothing that we are obligated to change our price, like I said. The reason for the difference in price.
What do you mean you're obligated to change your price?
The specs are part of the contract documents. Obviously, it says right in there that if there's a major item of work that's changed by more than 25%, I believe the percentage is, we have to basically give. In this case, if there's and the reason for the difference in prices I can explain in a minute, but like in the pipe circumstance, the quantity, or both circumstances, the quantity goes up. Generally, you're going to see a lower unit price. Since there is there would be a change in quantity in the contract after the fact on both those items, if it was done per the way the plan is, our quantity would increase. So in fact, our unit price would have to relook at it, and there would be basically a savings or whatever to the city, however you want to look at it, I guess. But
Is your price going to go up $40,000?
no, that's what
Because of missing this?
What's that?
Because
No,
of missing this, is your price going to go up or down, or what?
The unit price will actually go down. The reason our unit prices were the way that they were, the one item in discussion is the pavement removal. In pavement removal, one of the in a job like this, when you're, I'm not sure the street, but the one street has just the curb being removed. One major cost of work and pavement removal is saw cutting. When you have a large quantity of saw cutting in a job, it's gonna bump up the unit price, where if you're just sawing off the ends and tearing it out, we're running a saw all the way up the length of the road to tear off the curb. When the quantity's reduced, we took it, when they said bid it as is, we wanted to make sure we had our cost in there. So there's a larger linear footage of cost of saw cutting in there. There's a larger unit of linear footage of saw cut and a smaller pavement removal plan quantity, which basically increases the price. I don't know if I'm explaining that clearly or not, I guess. But basically for the amount of, because there's a reduction in quantity, there's an increase in price, because there's a certain cost that's there no matter what for the saw cutting. That's what drove that price up. To address the question on the 12-inch storm sewer, the plans showed there's 11-foot run, that's what the quantity showed. There were other runs in there called out as 12-inch. Being the quantity does not match the plans, we did not know, in fact, if there was an error in the plans, an error in the quantity. There's a discussion that quantity may increase. Again, we went back to the fact we were told to bid it as is. That's how we bid it. There's a certain cost when when you're doing a real short run, it's going to concentrate the cost or drive the price up per linear foot. So if in fact everything is per plan, everything's called out correctly in the plans with 12-inch storm sewer and everything where it's shown, the quantity would increase. That would be, like I said, going back to the spec where it states that a large quantity change would grant or warrant a change in unit price, which is in the contract documents. It's not that you're negotiating with just us on that.
So are you saying that Siegfried's, they bid the larger total and that's why their price is lower?
No.
I mean, or they bid the same bid that you bid?
We bid the same quantities, yes. And as far as the difference in prices on those two items, and again, we're looking at 2 items out of probably 50. We're pinpointing 2 items here. There is, as was discussed earlier, there's multiple items that go up or down. We're higher on some items, we're lower on some items. That's just the way it is. But as far as those items, we bid the proposal showed we have the same quantity, so our unit price times the proposal quantity gives us the overall total. Is how that would work.
I'm lost.
I'm sorry.
No, but I'm still trying to figure out. We got one group that's saying that the bid that there was something missed in it, and that when it gets said and done, the price is going to go up. But I don't think I hear you saying the same thing.
What's going to happen?
Or do you get an opportunity to reopen the discussions on price and then it goes up, or?
Basically, the quantity, it's not a lump sum contract where it's like a building where you say the school's gonna cost $10 million. On a city job like this, it's a unit price, so you get paid by unit or by foot of pipe and by square yard of paving. Our price and also Chick-fil-A's price will increase either way because the quantity is increasing. What they're saying is that because our unit prices on those 2 items are higher than ours would increase higher than theirs. The point that I was trying to make is due to the specs of the project, they do have it where, because of a drastic change in quantity, it does warrant for us in the city to get a revised price on those units because there's a bust in quantities.
So your price will go up. Your $1,025,000 isn't really $1,025,000 when we got all done.
It depends upon what the final quantities on all the items are, not just 2 of them, I guess. And like I said, all prices will be going up because because the quantity is increasing for everybody. No matter who would do the job, the price would go up.
Is that right? I'm sorry. Is that right, you guys? Or shouldn't I ask? Yeah. I feel like we're in a shell game that only half of us are playing. I do.
The unit prices are.
No, not the unit. I'm talking about the total. To be honest, I don't really care about the unit price. I don't really get the fact that it isn't like a building. I think, whether it's running horizontal or vertical, it should still be, if it's $1,025,000 or $1,040,000 or $2 million to do the street, it ought to be $2 million to do the street.
to answer that question, and saying a building versus a street might have been a bad comparison, because they can bid streets both ways. It's basically the type of contract that you let it under, and the way that Veenstra and Kim let this is the way city streets are normally let with a unit price contract. On a lump sum contract is where you'd say, submit a bid for everything. The contractor's obligated to do all the quantities and everything, and there's, the contractor takes a risk, so usually they increase their prices to cover that. This here.
I can understand that.
Yep, this here, it's unit price, so basically the contractor gets paid for whatever the work that they do, which is fair for both the city and the contractor. When there's a change in quantities up or down, that adjusts the overall total, which is what you're asking about. And it all depends on how much of that work, if the quantities are right, if they come across an issue in the field and they have to tear out more pavement or something that they think is there, like say you had to remove a pipe item that you thought had to come out when actually it's not there, then the contractor does not get paid for that.
I get that.
Yeah, so
I
it's,
get
that's the reason for unit price contract, is because there's unforeseens underground and everything that's why they do it at unit price instead of coming to every council meeting with a change order for every small change that happened in the field.
I guess my point is there's still, there's a half dozen things. There's things on one side that are significantly higher. There's things on another side, and when you get all said and done, it gets down to the bottom, and that's where you have to make a decision.
And the thing is, you made that decision on the last resolution that was passed.
I know, but just because we did something, Mayor, if we did it that way, and if we were wrong, it doesn't mean that we should just bull our way ahead and make another bad decision. I think we need to sort all this out and not just say, well, we already did it, let's move ahead.
Mayor, I think somebody's made a mistake on the agenda. I think B and C are turned around.
And I can show you the document. I just took the headings that I got directly from our bonding attorney, Dorsey and Whitney. They send them to me and I put them exactly how they have them listed.
But you got the hearing after we voted on it.
Because the hearing is for the necessity of doing the project itself, not for who we choose to do the contract.
I know, but I still think the point is, regardless of whether we already addressed the one, if we don't really understand this part of it, I don't think we ought to proceed on the next part. I think we gotta, maybe we've opened up a can of worms, but at least before I vote on it, I wanna understand what we're doing. And maybe everybody else does, and I'm just the one who doesn't.
No, I don't either. I still think this is wrong.
Well, we got a problem, and that is the bid specs were wrong. The plans apparently are right, but we're assuming the plans are right. And this is not to cast aspersions on Veenstra and Kim, but as was noted, you get into these projects all the time, and oops, or you find a big gigantic rock under the road that you didn't think was there, or whatever. And all of a sudden there's an unforeseen circumstance, and so you have. It would have been obviously a lot cleaner had the bid specs matched the plans. Then we wouldn't be here having this debate. And you had bids that were really close to one another, and that's also kind of unusual to have them this close. And then you have another thing which confuses me, and that is it sounds like at least this bidder was told to bid the project as was, and other bidders may have been told something different.
No, they were all told the same thing.
They were all told the
They
same
were all
thing.
told the same
And
thing.
so.
They were all aware of the discrepancy.
Okay.
Yes.
And so I guess, I can't tell you what's gonna happen. I can tell you, I guarantee if we don't award it to Horsfield, you're gonna get sued by Horsfield, flatly guarantee that. And I think they have a good claim, because they're the lowest responsible bidder, and they came in with the lowest amount, and it's pretty speculative what is gonna happen if we award it to the next bidder. Sigfray may have a claim against you too. I don't know. I mean, I'm not sitting with a black robe on, and I didn't cause the problem.
Is it too late to reject all of them?
No, you can still do it right now in this
And
process.
they can start over and
You could, if you wanna do that, but you're gonna spend a bunch of money again.
why?
Well, you've already spent a bunch of money on engineer fees,
And you're changing dates, you're changing all kinds of
and
things.
you're probably not gonna get this project done this year. Unless you're not, what, are you gonna bid it next fall? I mean, you're not gonna start in October.
2 weeks is gonna set them back.
Well, one of the things that, as I look through all 4 of these bids, if you look at some of the line items, you take a look at, say, number 15, there are some of the other bidders that are significantly lower than the 2 lowest bids. So, I mean, to me, it seems like at some point where you draw the line on who is charging what and who's bidding what, because I mean, I'm looking at one here that on line 15, it looks like could be half of what the 2 lowest bids were. And, you know, to me, at some point, you're gonna have all of those things. I think the bottom line comes in is when the day's done and the project's done, if there's work order changes, they're probably gonna be done by either one of the contractors, which is gonna raise their prices, whatever that point is on that job or work order change. So, and it.
I don't know that any contract once bid has ever come in on down to the nickel.
A city job, if it'd be lump sum and there's not a single, I shouldn't say mistake, a single unforeseen in the field, it's possible. But on a unit price like this, quantities change, and it's nothing that the engineer does wrong, that's just the way it is. I mean, like I said, I've been doing this for years. We do, I don't know, I probably take care of 20 to 30 jobs a year. Yeah, I haven't had one in 8 years, I guess.
Right.
So.
Well,
So we look at the $1,025,447 bid, and it was the lowest at the time, still is at this point. And at that juncture, this is what we're left with as far as decision making is concerned.
Yeah,
The fact that our engineer contacted all of the contractors, all of the bidding contractors, and said, identified the error, the mistake, and everybody proceeded. In my mind, we've washed this, it's been washed, it's been cleaned.
I guess the way I look at it, and it's probably more for the guys from Chick Fry, I would look at it and say, okay, there's, like I said, there's half dozen, there's some lines that you guys are significantly lower than they are. And I think what you've done is you've picked on a couple of these. That's the way I see it, and in the end, to be honest, there's not that big a difference. It sounds to me like their price is their total bill is gonna go up and yours is gonna go up. That's the way I hear this.
Okay, wait a minute. We got too many people up here. Only one can talk at a time, and they need to be up to the mic in order to do so.
Could I introduce Mr. Chick Fry?
I haven't had a chance to speak yet.
Okay, if you want to come up, introduce yourself.
My name's Ron Chick Fry Excavating.
Okay.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I'm gonna keep it simple in layman's terms. There specifically is a minimum of one item that has an error in it, and that would be the pipe that everybody's been talking about tonight. It's not the whole other bid, it's not all the other line items, how some are greater and some are less. It's relative to this whole thing. There was a game that was played, and there was one contractor that played the game. They didn't bid it, they just threw a big number on it, $250, because they knew they could have, in the end, if they were low enough that they could pick a number that was low enough, ultimately, when you did multiply it by the other 201 units, they would make a lot more money at it, because they know there has to be 212-foot pipe that's put in the ground. The reason why they know that is because that's what's showing in the drawing. And I just want to be clear about that's the problem with this bid, is there's a problem in the bids, plans. That's where the problem actually lies, in the bid plans. It shows you will be putting 212 feet of pipe in the ground. And that's the problem. They took that and they could have put $1,000 or $2,000 on there. And so they chose $250, which was fivefold what reality really is.
Is that because of the sizes of the pipes and the
It has
numbers?
nothing to do with that. It was a way of them making some extra money.
for you. How did you guys bid? Did you guys bid off the 11 or what was in the actual
I
drawing?
didn't bid it.
When?
Mr. Schrader bid it.
Okay.
You have to ask him specifically. Mike? You have to ask the question.
When you bid on the piping, obviously it says 11 in here, but it's actually not. This was 212 units. What did you guys bid off? The 212 or the 11?
I was told to bid it according to the bid sheet,
Mm-hmm.
and if it was only 11 feet of pipe, that's the way I bid it.
Okay, so you bid it as the 11.
Yeah, and the pavement removal, I also had all my sawing in that.
And you bid that one as the
It's 13 something maybe?
27, is it?
Yeah, it was 13 something for the PVC and 27 something for the.
I bid that according to the bid sheet.
To the bid, so everything you bid was according to this bid sheet?
Yes.
Okay.
And I was aware that those quantities were gonna blow.
Okay.
So I didn't try and gouge you.
Something that hasn't been mentioned tonight too, in drawings by law, the drawing will take precedence in the court of law over what the quantities actually state in the bid sheet. When it's specifically shown in the drawing on that blueprint, it will be, that takes precedence of that 212 feet will take precedence. You will pay them $250 a foot times 212.
But,
So you know
but
that.
isn't, when we're all said and done, that price they've already listed as part of their final bid price?
One more time for me, please.
The problem is that they bid on 11, but they know there's gonna be more foot, so their bid is gonna be actually more than 1,400,000 and what?
Their bid was 1,025,000.
So you're saying that when they go and put in the full amount, their bid is not really a realistic bid because when
That's
they
correct.
put
I'm
it
telling you,
in,
legally,
the
you will
price
pay
is
them 212
automatically
times
up?
250 because the drawing says they will be putting 212 feet in there. And you will have to pay them the $250. So their bid needs, if you do some arithmetic, you're gonna see that it's gonna go up to be $20,000 higher than Chick-fil Excavating's. That's what I'm trying to tell you by the law, but
Okay.
I have an attorney there if he wants to.
So
add
then
more.
we're gonna pay you 212 times
Our number
53.
stays the same. Excuse me, our number will be $20,000 less when you multiply it out. Correct? Correct.
If I may.
$20,000 less than your current bid, or
20,000
than,
less than where, so when you multiply it out.
When you take the quantities specified in the plans, which Mr. Chickfry is correct, under Iowa law, the quantities in the plans, the actual information contained in the plans and specifications has a higher construction priority, has a higher priority over the bid sheet. So if there's a discrepancy between the bid sheet and the plans, those plan quantities will govern. And if you decide at the end of tonight that you're gonna award and enter into an agreement with Horsefield on these quantities, you've just agreed to pay them $250 per lineal feet. And there's 212, at least 212 lineal feet contained in the plans. I think that's the point that Mr. Chickfry is making. Now, going back to this negotiation that someone has suggested that you can have, I would submit that at a minimum, the city does not know what it will end up paying to Horsefield for this work. What Chickfry is here today saying is, you know what you will pay Chickfry because their unit price is good for the first 11 linear feet and for the last 201 lineal feet for this 12-inch reinforced concrete pipe. And when you draw out the quantities multiplied by the unit prices, what I'm saying is Chickfry is the lowest responsible bidder for this particular project.
because their bid
Okay.
would actually be $20,000 less than what it shows right now.
Then less than Horsefield's.
No, less
No,
than
less
the other guy.
when you
But here's
multiply it
here's
out.
the whole thing by Mayor Davis, is on line 24. Yours will go up by,
201
by the
times-
by the
201 times
$53, by the $53, yours will go up 212. Theirs will go up to 212 times 250. That's
Yes.
there, that's,
Yeah.
that's the math.
That's a 40, the rough head math suggests that's a $40,000 swing in the bids, which eats up the $25,000 difference in the current bids you're evaluating tonight. So if you use that
Mike.
correct analysis, then Chick-fil-A is the lowest responsive bidder.
That's my point, and he said it better than I did.
What you're figuring out is if you have the 212 is correct? Is what
Yeah.
total?
Yeah,
Okay.
plan sheet M
So if
point
you take,
oh four.
if you take 201, which is not in there,
Correct.
and times it by 250, you got 50,025. If you times it by theirs, it's 10,723.
Yeah.
That's
About
It
40,000
just
difference.
kinda hillbilly math comes out
Yeah.
40,000. Well, it does.
Thanks, Brianna.
And that's my point that I wanted to bring to the point
I
tonight.
get it.
That's the legal side. Higher prices, lower, of course that's gonna happen when you have just even one bid item, you're gonna have a higher and lower price, that's the good thing is, but this is a legal issue. It's a VK problem where they had it on the plans is one thing, and this, but I'm telling you, the plans will take precedence, which will automatically hand Horsfield 212 foot, because that's what it says. And also, since they already got 250 established, there won't be no negotiations. Any questions for me?
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I think we should hear from our engineer.
Yeah.
Yes.
The thing about the linear feet, I'm under the impression that we don't have to change that, so clarify that for me.
The 12-inch versus 15-inch?
Yeah.
Right.
Design-wise, if the 15-inch pipe is cheaper than 12-inch pipe, then we could go with that pipe. And design-wise, there's no.
And if we did that, would that alter our cost would that alter our cost with Horsfield if we stuck with what they bid on the 15-inch pipe?
Yes, on that one, they are lower. Now, on the pavement removal, they are higher than Chick-fil-A, and that's also a significant difference as well.
Okay, so on the pipe issue, if we went with the 15-inch pipe, they're actually lower than Shig-Fry.
Yeah, they're about half price.
All right. All right. So what I'm trying to understand is what, on the pipe issue, why do we think that Horsfield is higher than Shig-Fry on the pipe?
When you bid these out, it's a unit cost. So
Right.
the 12-inch pipe, they are $250 per linear foot.
Right. But if we go with the 15-inch pipe instead of the 12-inch pipe.
Well, I don't think you can really base your decision on that. I think you have to look at what is bid and decide whether it is if both bids are responsive, but you have to look at what was bid. Now, understanding that those two quantities, there were actually four that were off a little bit, two were insignificant, but the two big ones are the 12-inch pipe and the pavement removal.
You know, but if I was gonna ask a question, if you talk about line 25, are you guys doing the 15-inch pipe out of the same material they are, or is it? I mean, usually the world doesn't work in half. I mean, you're half the price per piece. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, it's.
I know what the soil is like in the areas that they're putting that pipe in. It's gonna be some tough sewer plant.
But see, these guys are gonna be stuck then, they're gonna be, if you know that, so you bid yours twice as much, and they didn't know it, they're gonna be stuck at that.
Let's not worry about that part of it, 'cause that's not.
Well, it's,
Why does
Dustin,
not
it's
the
$100,000
total bid
difference.
make what we bidded on? Why do we have to deal with the line items? Why isn't it just the total amount is what
The
we?
question is because there were two known quantities that were off. And the apparent low bid has the highest unit prices for those quantities. So
And
that has the potential to swing the price where they go from low bid to the high bid. One thing that did come up earlier was discussion about the DOT spec. And the DOT spec does state that if you have a variance of over 25% or under 25%, then you have the opportunity on either side to negotiate a different cost for everything above that. So, for example, 11 foot of pipe we would be required or obligated to pay like roughly $15 or 15 foot of pipe at that $250. That's roughly 25% over the bid amount. But then beyond that, that was the point of the negotiation. But it doesn't, you know, the negotiation is what's, you know, the two can come up with, but again,
Have you ever had that happen?
yes,
And have you ever negotiated for a lower amount than the bid unit price?
absolutely.
Okay, so that's customary in your experience?
And then if you go under, then they have additional costs in there, then they would expect to get paid more per linear foot typically. Typically, everything runs over.
All right.
Do you have a problem with this low bid and being able to work with them in order to do it and keep it at this amount that was bid? Do you see it's going to go up quite a bit?
It is going to go up.
Would it
I
with
think
either
that
one?
the pavement removal is the key item there that has potential to go up the most. Horsefield's pavement removal.
So in all, every single one of these bids is not correct, because they're bidding off of this and not off the plans itself.
There's 2 items that were known to be incorrect.
Okay.
Well, 2 insignificant,
So
the 2 primary.
So even with the 2 primary ones, so that the total bids that we have are gonna increase at least probably 20,000 on all of them.
Just roughly looking at it with no negotiations, no, just as is, I think it's a swing of actually about 80,000.
So we're going up that much.
Correct.
What would be 80,000?
If the 12-inch pipe is, if that amount is put in at $250, that's not taking into account any negotiated price, or in the pavement removal, if that was done at, $32 a square yard versus 13. All total, roughly, would be an $80,000 swing.
But out of all the bidders that we had, all 4 of them, if they bid it compared to what the specifications are here, which obviously aren't right, and there's 2 major ones that we can see that are a problem. No matter which one we choose, they're probably all gonna go up about at least 20,000, all of them.
Correct, all of them will go up, yes.
But you just, what was your comment about 80,000 just a second ago?
The difference between what was bid
Right.
and then the 2 quantities that were known to be incorrect, if we were to just plug those units in, taking the exact same unit cost, then it swings about, I think I can get a closer number. Wait a minute, it's wrong one. Actually, it's more like 40,000.
Yeah.
It swings what, 40,000? Swings one of their bids 40,000 more?
Correct. The Horsfield bid would be $40,000 higher than the Chick-fil-A bid. If you add those quantities in and take their unit prices and extrapolate them out.
The question I have, and I find this inconceivable on why we're even sitting here discussing this, everybody knew the bid numbers were wrong. And somebody actually even contacted you and said the numbers are wrong, you know that everybody knows exactly what the project is because they read the blueprints. So why on earth did we tell them to bid the wrong numbers?
Because I didn't believe we had enough time to get an addendum to everybody to correct those. And we were worried that we would have somebody submit a bid that did not have the addendum, and then their bid couldn't even be opened.
Well, but we wouldn't be having this discussion right now.
Correct.
But if we decide to not go with any of these bids right now, you're still gonna charge us more engineering fees because you told everybody to bid the wrong numbers.
They had to bid what was put out, correct.
But
And
you
those
told them to
numbers-
go ahead and bid those numbers.
Because we
And
did
you're
not
gonna
have
charge
time.
us more money if we reject these 4 bids.
Well, maybe that's a negotiation point, Bob. Cause I don't,
mean,
I
that's what's
think we need to be
bothering
real
me right
careful on
now
that.
is
I-
that we're sitting here,
Right, if
we
you wanna
could've- we
reject
could've
all
done
bids
away
and
with
rebid,
this.
then that comes out of our budget. And that is something that can be done. Contractor needs,
So-
it'll probably take a month.
Comes out of your budget, not ours.
But that sets us back a month before anything,
Correct.
It's gonna
before
make
you
it-
could
it's gonna make this a
rebid them?
2017 project,
Yeah, it'll be
is what
next
it's gonna
year,
do.
not this year.
This is not gonna get done.
So none of the projects would be able to be done for
Nope.
this year?
Well, let's don't do any of them. That simplifies it.
Doesn't simplify Second Street Southeast or Second Street.
Well, I know it,
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
it
Those are
doesn't,
the two
but I
most
still,
severe issues.
I still don't agree with going ahead with something just because we think we should. If it's
No.
wrong, it's wrong.
Yeah.
And, I do apologize for you guys for that comment on the 99,000 versus 100. I understand that all this stuff gets caught up in the bid, so. But, I guess, I think that if we got quite a conundrum here. And I think maybe we just back out of the whole deal and we don't do any streets this year.
I know a lot
No,
of unhappy
that's-
citizens you're gonna have.
Something, maybe we have a handful of unhappy citizens, but we're gonna have a whole lot more unhappy citizens if we do something stupid. And I think that's what we're thinking about.
Well, I believe if you rebid it, you'll still be able to get a substantial amount of the work. The projects are pretty clean projects, meaning they can get in, get the work, get out.
How much time would you have to take, how much time would you have to have to,
Do a
It
re-
would
on the
take-
plan, on the plans and specs to get them back into a bid package?
They need 2 weeks. There's not enough time between this council meeting and the next council meeting, but the one after that, so 1 month.
And you would have all the bids back and opened at that point and know what we're dealing with?
See, and maybe we can think about only doing 2 streets instead of 3. And then, yeah, we can.
I'm still on doing 11, but I don't like the way this is all.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think we need to drop a street just because of this, but I do think we need to go back to square one and get bids that are comparing oranges to oranges, and this is, because on the other hand, honestly, people that bid it based upon knowing how much that was there, they could come in with a lower price because they knew really this is how much we're putting in, so they could, it can go both ways as far as how the bid was submitted. So I think we go back and compare oranges to oranges and start over and get new bids from everybody, and
That's my advice now.
I
Now
agree.
that I understand the picture bigger, I understand Shigfree's point, which I didn't understand before, and it sounds like it's our mistake for making the big bid specs wrong, and so we created this situation. And
And
so
we need to have a vote to reverse our resolution approving.
Yeah, you're gonna wanna, if you wanna proceed in that fashion, you should deny the resolution of necessity, and then someone should reconsider the.
Austin's been wanting to say something for a while, he keeps going,
So-
Okay.
so.
Go ahead.
Speak up, Austin. Everybody else has.
I completely forgot what I was gonna say. at this point.
Take notes next time.
The ums were because I was trying to remember what I was gonna say, but people kept cutting me off, so I ran out of time.
So in order to get out of this, we just wanna close the hearing and stop right there.
Well, I think, at the end of this, we're supposed to pass a resolution of necessity. You should not pass the resolution of
just close the
necessity.
hearing.
But, so whenever we're done with the hearing, you should close the hearing and then deny the resolution of necessity. But then we gotta go back.
Do we need to back out of the resolution awarding the contract
Yes.
and back out
Yes.
of the consideration of
Yes,
bids?
you're gonna have to go back and get rid of all of them, because when you accepted that bid, that created a contract.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to uncreate that contract by rescinding it tonight.
Since it hasn't been signed, it's not a sealed contract.
Probably not, I don't know.
You're a
I
legal
mean,
person. What do you
I think Dorsey and Whitney screwed up. This, I don't know why you do.
If it hasn't been
you-
signed, I wouldn't think it'd be a
Yeah,
done
but you don't
deal
do a
yet.
resolution of necessity after you have your award of the contract. That's,
Oh, that's the way it was presented for us to do it
That's,
that way.
I know, I'm not blaming, I'm not saying our clerk did it wrong, I'm saying that makes no sense at all.
Yeah, the necessity was
I
prior.
think we just need to do it right, and whatever happens, happens, but we know we're doing it
Okay.
the right
Are
way.
you okay with us doing all this and then putting these out to all 4 bidders again? And I'm
Putting
assuming
it out
all,
to bid.
and I'm
Putting it out to
assuming
bid, not-
anybody, the bidders will want to do this again or whatever.
I'm hoping so.
So
Okay.
mine. So we need a motion to close the hearing.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Motion from Holland, second by Dallenbach to close the hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Now for the motion to, for the necessity, do we even want to do that?
Yeah, you have to deny it.
I'll make a motion to deny it.
Second.
Okay, motion to deny this necessity, seconded. All those, does that need a roll call? Or does that, majority okay with that, or you need a roll call on that one?
I think we should have
We
a
should
voice.
probably do
Roll call.
Roll call
Yeah,
for
I'd say
that,
roll
okay.
Dallenbach,
Yes.
Grover,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Holland,
Yes.
Lenia.
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
That was nice, that went through.
Now, as you're going to when you're going back up, you're gonna wanna rescind all those actions. And so the only people who can make the motion to rescind it would be the prevailing voters in the motion.
And that's the one, we need to start with considering the bids
Yeah.
to begin with.
Right.
Who made the
I don't
motion?
even really use my
So
vote.
we
Who
three
made
don't get
the
to vote?
motion to
You
consider
can't make the
bids?
initial motion, you can second it, but you can vote on it, but you can't make the motion to rescind.
Do we have to go in
There-
reverse? Or
Yeah.
do we start back with considering the bids to begin with?
I would just.
I would start with awarding the
I'd start going up.
Okay,
So
so
back.
we need a motion, we need, the resolution awarding the contract. Who made
I
the
will
motion?
make a motion to
Who
rescind
seconded?
that.
The motion was, the original motion was posed by Dallenbach and seconded by Grover.
And that was in regards to awarding the contract.
Yep.
Okay. And they need to rescind it,
Just the
or-
people who voted yes, I believe.
Yeah, the affirmative voters need to be the ones making the motion.
And I'll make a motion to rescind it.
Okay, and a
It can be
second.
seconded by anybody. But
Okay,
it'd be nice if
same-
it was seconded by.
Same two people.
Yeah, it'd be
motion
better.
and
It's the
seconded.
reverse order.
Okay.
Yeah, let's
Hey, I like
reverse
Then
it.
we need to do a
Yeah.
roll call on that again, since we did it the first time.
Yes.
Okay, roll call.
Vaughn,
This is to rescind it.
This is to
If you wanna vote yes
this
to
is
it,
to
then
rescind
this
the
is- this
awarding
is
of
us
the
agreeing with you now.
contract.
I have to vote, yeah, oh, okay, yes. First time I've done that.
Hill.
Tell him how to vote.
Trick.
Something wrong with
Yes.
it.
I was tricking you.
Dallenbach,
Yes.
Grover,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Holland,
Yes.
Lenia.
Yes.
It's nice when they can all agree, isn't it? Okay, then we go back up and considering the bids, we have to rescind that also, and who was that?
Holland posed the motion, it was seconded by Dallenbach.
And I pose a motion to rescind the bids.
Second.
Okay. Did we do that by
Yes.
motion to
Yes.
roll call? Okay.
Lenius,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Dallenbach,
Yes.
Grover,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Holland.
Yes.
We spent an awful lot of time on this. So you are going back to the drawing board, sending something out for bids again, and we should have that.
Gina.
Will we open that before the first meeting in June? We'll open the bids? You'll need to have them back in by when?
That's too.
What's the turnaround on getting bids back?
This won't go the hour.
That's a good point, we already done it, you know, the work's been done, so the plans ain't gonna change much, so we're ready to go.
So now it's just using the right number.
Is that true with your company also, that you'd be able to do it in a short turnaround? you're gonna have to either come forward or something, I can't hear you from back.
I'll have to discuss that with my boss and what else comes up for bid between now and then. Also, there may be some hard feelings over rejecting a little bit that was submitted that's
Some
not
projects get
normal
denied.
on something like this, so.
Okay, and you do understand that we don't have a contract, that got rescinded and all that good stuff, and,
I'll discuss with him on that as well, because that's his position on that at that point. That's not my place, I guess. so.
okay.
Well, I'd like to see you guys
We'll have
bid
a-
again. I understand the hard feelings of the whole thing, but I couldn't go through it the way it was said for the public here, so.
And I understand you guys, I understand where you guys are going with that. There are, like I said, there are places in the spec that protects the city, and that's the whole point of the spec. We'll do the spec with this thing that protects the city or the jurisdiction on that. That's what that's there for, is to do that stuff, and, it was there, so, yeah, I understand.
So now.
But
you-
chances
you
are we will
going
not
to
have 'em
send
read it-
the right
ready.
spec sheet this time, right?
You're talking to Leland?
Leland? Are you going to, you're going to send them a corrected spec sheet
Yes.
for
they'll-
bidding?
With the new package, yeah.
Yes, the whole bid package and the plans would get revised.
But that's
Uh,
not something that can be done by our next council meeting and such.
Well,
We'll have to wait till the,
I think I'll have to ask the many attorneys here tonight.
any other attorneys we haven't heard from yet?
The minimum, I think it just changed with the minimum bidding. Is it 2 weeks now?
Yeah, it needs to be published.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
That puts it to, let's see, the 13th is your council meeting in June, which would make the 9th. If you were gonna open on a Thursday before, which is what we did on this time, June 9th would be the bid opening.
And that's doable. And once we get approval of somebody to actually be the contractor, we still have enough time to do these projects.
I got two Bobby's head bombing earlier, going yes.
Letter permitting.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. Hasn't been too friendly to us here the last week or so,
At
but
least this gets us out of the rainy season, right?
yes.
We'll see how it
This
comes
might be a blessing in disguise without realizing it, so, with all the rain we're getting. Okay, everybody knows their assignments, everybody's got the dates, so we can do that whole section and pass it up.
Do we
Well,
have to
and then I think we
deny the rest of these? Is that-
Do we even have to deal with them? Do we not just take them
They're
off?
on the agenda.
Yes, through on the agenda, you gotta deal with them.
Okay, so
Which one?
We
we're
will
at
start
D,
Um,
resolution amending proposed resolution of necessity,
no, that is
no?
not required.
And resolution of necessity is not required?
We already denied that.
Okay. Resolution ordering preparation of detailed plans, specifications, notice for hearing, notice of bidders, and form a contract. Do we have
will
to do
need a
that?
denial on that.
I'll make a motion to deny that.
I'll
Okay.
second that.
Motion by Grover, second by Holland. Do you need that as a roll call?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Grover,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Holland,
Yes.
Lunius,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Dallenbach.
Yes.
Okay, motion carried.
And we-
Cooper driveway request, do we have to deal with that, or can we wait since they've been here this whole time? You've been entertained so far.
Thanks
I
for
think
coming,
Leland
guys.
will
I
probably
Thank
have
you.
something to say about it too.
Wow, I'd like to think I could top the last discussion. I don't think I can.
I don't think anybody can.
Go ahead and try.
If you'd like to, no, if you, actually, I mean, I would, ask the city council to table this discussion until the next council meeting.
Till we really know what we're doing and
Yeah.
such. Okay.
Yeah, that'd be fine. I don't have
Okay.
a problem with that, I appreciate it. All right?
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Morgan.
You know where to find us, man.
Yeah.
We'll still be here.
We're on TV every other week. Okay, I'm down to number
Oh, we
6,
need a
development
motion to table
agreement.
that, please.
You need to have a motion for that, too?
Yeah.
I'll
Yes,
make a
please.
motion to table it.
Okay, motion by Grover,
Second.
seconded by Holland to table the Cooper driveway request. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Thank you, guys. Sorry for interrupting your evening.
Would you kindly put me on the June 9th?
Yes.
Thank you.
It'll be June 13th.
June 13th, yeah. Second Monday. Okay. Development agreements, public hearing on development agreement with Steve G. I need a motion to receive and file proof of publication of notice of public hearing.
Make your motion.
Second.
Motion by Dallenbach, second by Holland. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. I need a motion to hold the public hearing.
Motion.
Motion by Grover, second by Dallenbach. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. We are now in public hearing in regards to the development agreement with Mr. G. And I believe he sat through this last one. You're ready for another one? At least this one you're gonna be involved in.
Come on up.
Did your legs fall asleep? That is the real question.
Let's try to make this one so much easier than the last one.
I don't have a whole lot to say about it. Yours is all in order? As far as I know. Okay. No, basically it's just a development agreement for my, start the construction of, Goldfinch Court, which would be, condominiums, extending Spruce Drive. Basically be, first stage of this, which is going through the development agreement, would be for 18 condos on, Spruce Drive.
What drive is this on?
Spruce Drive, which
Okay.
is, the one that goes into
Cardinal
Court.
Court?
Right now.
Okay.
So it'll be extending Cardinal Court condos, but basically it'll be Goldfinch Court now.
And you can have these built tomorrow.
That's what I wish.
Do you have a few of them sold yet, in
Yes.
advance?
Yep.
Good. Good.
Quite a bit of interest in them.
Okay. Is that gonna be the whole thing, or are we gonna develop the other area later?
That's the first phase, and then
Okay.
hopefully, if this goes well, then we'll be doing some single-family homes, and hopefully be doing this again for that, so.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Mhm.
Anything else we need?
Yeah, let's close the hearing.
Yes.
Motion, did you just make a motion to close
Yep.
the hearing?
Second.
You seconded it? We don't need a roll call, right?
Getting a lot of stuff.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Very short hearing. Thank you, Steve. Okay, I need a motion to receive, file, and consider adopting a development agreement with Steve G. Motion by Grover, seconded by Hill. And that one I need a roll call for.
Holland,
Yes.
Lenius,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Dallenbach,
Yes.
Grover,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Motion is carried. Resolution approving development agreement with Steve G., authoring payments of pledging certain tax increment revenue to the payment agreement.
Motion to approve.
Okay,
Second.
motion by Holland, seconded by Grover. Roll call.
Which one is this, B?
Lenius,
Yes.
Vaughn,
No.
Hill,
Yes.
Dallenbach,
Yes.
Grover,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Holland,
Yes.
and then there's a second motion.
Okay, that motion is carried. I need we have another motion to approve the rezoning of the ground owned by Steve G.
So moved.
Construction Company. Motion by Hill, seconded by
I'll second.
Brown. You need a roll call on that also?
Yes, please.
Okay,
Rezoning it.
Where's the result?
Vaughn,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Dallenbach,
Yes.
Grover,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Holland,
Yes.
and Lenius.
Yes.
motion carried.
Oh.
I'm under new business. We already took care of A, so B is an airport non-commercial use hangar lease with Leon Bachman.
This has been discussed, and I make the motion to
And I
approve it.
second that.
Okay.
we
I
have
will-
a long
I have a
time.
motion and a second
beats
to
the legal-
approve an airport non-commercial
Yeah.
use hangar lease
Yeah,
with
I read it.
Leon Bachman.
Right.
And we'll do this by roll call, please.
Dallenbach,
Yes.
Grover,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Holland,
Yes.
Lenius,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
and Hill.
Yes.
Motion carried, thank you.
Even though he's not here, I'd like to thank him for at least staying with us and keeping at this, because
Yeah.
he's the first one to actually do this, and he's pushed so far to where we're actually set up to now, we're ready for our next one, since he's the first one going with it, so I'm thankful that he kept with us on it, so.
Very
I
good.
think we started talking about this 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It's
So,
it's not it's a pretty good deal for the city, really, and
Yeah.
for the tenant. I mean, actually, it's one of those
Win-win.
pretty good deals that happen now and then.
wish he was here for it, but I'm glad he stayed around.
Mike will make sure he gets told, he hears about it,
Okay.
right?
I'll make sure.
Okay.
Hey Carter, could I
Yeah.
change my vote on B?
On B,
Yeah,
which one?
It's already been passed and accepted.
I know it's been passed, I just want
And
to change my
accepted,
motion,
so-
or change my vote on it.
I think it's a little late to change your vote since we've already
Well, let him
passed.
change his
It-
vote.
It passed by
I know, but he wants to
majority,
vote different.
we're okay. I'm down to ordinances. I need a motion to receive, okay. I need a motion to receive, file, and consider adopting the amended provisions pertaining to natural gas franchise for the second time.
So moved.
Motion
Second.
by Hill, second by Holland, roll call, please.
Grover,
You had to make me go first, didn't you? Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Holland,
Yes.
Lenius,
Yes.
Vaughn,
No, that's where I thought we was to begin with.
Hill,
Yes.
Dallenbach.
Yes.
Motion carried,
Not B,
thank
it's
you.
8.
I'm down to number 9, resolutions. Resolution setting date for public hearing on urban renewal plan amendment.
So moved.
Motion by Hill, seconded by
I'll second it.
Brown. Roll call, please.
Brown,
Yes.
Holland,
Yes.
Lenius,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Dallenbach,
Yes.
Grover.
Yes.
Motion carried, thank you. I need a motion to approve a resolution supporting a Buchanan County Rural Business Development Grant submission to the United States Department of Agriculture for the Buchanan County Board of Supervisors.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Holland, second by
Second.
Grover. Roll call, please.
Holland,
Yes.
Lenius,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Dallenbach,
Yes.
Grover,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Thank you, motion carried. Next I need a motion to approve the resolution with the condition to receiving state aid for the Independence Municipal Airport.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Grover.
Second.
Second by Dallenbach. Roll call, please.
Lenius,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Dallenbach,
Yes.
Grover,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Holland.
Yes.
Motion carried. It's been a fun night, guys. I'm down to reports, and since Mr. Donnelly's here, it hasn't been for a long time, would you like to give a report for the police, or for the street department?
Yeah, the police department.
Yeah, and you can do one on the police department too while you're up here.
No.
Everything's going great. All the potholes filled and whatever.
Where'd you get that tan at, Jim? Where'd you get the tan at? Oh.
That's why I mow mine when it's cloudy out like today.
Randy?
Chief, do you have anything you would like to share for reports? Nothing tonight? Okay. Who was I supposed to start with? Trying to think, Dallenbach? Nothing? Grover? Did you remember what you didn't get to say earlier?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
So I'm still good.
Okay. Nothing else you'd like to put in?
Nah.
Okay. Mr. Brown, anything in the
Nothing.
reports?
Nothing.
Mr. Holland?
Friday the 13th, Friday Night Live. Supposed to be a nice day too, I think. Seems like it's supposed to be a nice day.
I think the weather's supposed to be nice.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. First Friday Night Live for the Chamber.
It isn't, and Saturday is the first Saturday for Farmers Market, and the mill will be open.
14th?
14th, yeah.
And the mill will be open.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Both good news. Mr. Lenius, do you have
Nothing.
anything for report? Now, this
Nothing.
is your only chance. You're not gonna get to come back.
She said that before.
I know. But nothing.
Mr. Vaughn?
I'd just like to talk about the streets for a second. I still think that 11th Street up there is a large, very large waste of money. I think it's gonna be right up there at that $500,000 heater next election if we go ahead and do this, I've got a feeling. Just plain stupid. You could stand out there all day and never have to worry about moving for a car or anything. It's 31 potholes, or is it 37 potholes?
Yeah, I was just say you told me 37 last
37
week.
potholes, and that's just a shade less than $7,000 a pothole we're gonna spend on that, fixing that road. I think we have a lot more important things to do with our money than throw it away on that street up there. decide.
Okay.
Can
Mr.
I,
Hill.
can I actually interject for 1 second?
He
we've got
doesn't
him
get to
here-
go back.
Since we've got him here though.
Who?
Tim, how much does it cost you guys, based on hourly pay and materials, to fill a pothole?
Oh, because the asphalt cost is about $95 to $96 a ton.
Okay.
They can go through a ton of asphalt, a lot of holes in short times, not long times. It varies.
Okay,
Tim
just
told
wanted
me-
to get kind of an estimate.
Tim told me for $300 they could patch every pothole up there. I asked the same question.
Okay, we're not debating it anymore. Everybody's
Yeah, I
entitled to
just
their
wanted to hear what you
opinion
had to
though.
say about
Did you get yours yet, Bob? Did they
No, but
interrupt your turn?
I would like to compliment the council, the city attorney, mayor, and the clerk. We had a very difficult situation develop tonight, and I was very happy that people were willing to listen to each other, work together, and solve a problem before we created a bigger one. So that's one of the first times I've seen that much cooperation around this table in 9 years. So,
Okay. Carter, did you have anything you would like to add tonight before we're done?
Only that, actually, I kind of apologize. I'm not very well prepared for this issue because I found out about it Friday when I was gone, and I had only the weekend to kind of try and bone up on it. And it strikes me that the mistake that we made was weeks ago when we decided to proceed with the project knowing that our bid specs were wrong. And we need to, sometimes you can, when we start to push the limits of what the bounds of the law are, sometimes we can pay for it in a big way.
I'm not sure what you said.
And so that's why I would urge us to learn from that. And I'm not sure what's gonna happen still. We still may have some aggravated people who claim we did something wrong to them, but I would urge us in the future, government is intended to run slow and deliberate.
But not smoothly.
And not smoothly. And it's intended to go slow for that reason, so we make sure we do everything fair and right. And I think the mistake we made here was we kind of pushed a little bit too hard because we were hoping it would work, and we see now the result of what happens when you push too hard. You can create a problem. So I'd urge us to always remember that. Sometimes we need to go slow and do it the hard way, which is the totally according to Hoyle way.
Yeah.
That's my only comment.
Gina?
I was just gonna say that the Northeast Iowa Regional League is going to be here in Independence at Bill's, Tuesday, May 31st, so any of you council members that wanna attend, let me know and I'll sign you up. The issue or the topic is gonna be human resources.
You say Bob needs to go, for sure. Human research. Might be part of the state research. That's all?
Yeah, that's it.
I did a proclamation assigning for poppy sales this weekend, I believe, with the, was it Legion or the Legion, I believe.
I didn't see it.
You didn't see it?
I didn't see it.
Okay, I believe it was the Legion. I've been doing some junior achievement with the second graders at East Elementary on community and government, and had an interesting, because our last one we had on Friday was in regards to taxes and payments and who gets paid what, and I think it was very open eye thing for the second graders, and I suggested they go home with all their new knowledge and share it with their parents.
All they care about is the Longhorns.
Maybe I should do that we should have a workshop with the same kind of training with council and such, but we'll see. Other than that, I don't have anything else. It seems to me I had something, but I don't remember what it is. I'm doing Austin, I forgot what it was. So I need a motion for adjournment.
You got it.
Motion by Grover, seconded by Vaughn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Thank you very much. You got to admit, at least